9.1.
The first point to bear in mind is that nothing, but nothing, is ever free. How often have you seen adverts saying things like, get a free Bluetooth speaker when you subscribe to our magazine for 6 months? There's something about the word free that immediately attracts us. I want it. It makes us feel clever, as if we're going to get something for nothing. But of course, that Bluetooth speaker, which incidentally will probably break the second time you use it, wasn't free at all. In spite of what the advert said, its price was really included in the magazine subscription. So don't trust any advert which offers something for free. A second trick, which advertisers use, is when they tell us, there are only a few left. Buy now while stocks last. What happens to us when we read or hear these words? Even though we don't really need the products and maybe don't even like them, we immediately want to be among the lucky few who have them. But let's be clear about this. Companies just don't run out of products. Do you really think the manufacturers couldn't produce a few more if they thought they could sell them? Of course they could. When it comes to new products, we, the consumers, are like sheep, and we follow each other. So, another way advertisers have of getting us to use something is to tell us everybody's using it. And of course, we think everybody can't be wrong, so the product must be fantastic. So as to make us believe it, they use expressions like, it's a must-have, or it's the in thing. And they combine this with a photograph of a large group of people so that we can't fail to get the message. But don't be fooled. Even if everybody is using it, and they may not be, everybody can be wrong. Another favorite message is, you too can look like this, accompanied by a photo of a fabulous-looking man or woman. But the problem is, you can't look like this because actually the woman or man in the photo is a model, and also because he or she doesn't really look like that either. The photo has been airbrushed in order to make the model look even slimmer, with perfect skin and even more attractive than they are in real life. Adverts also often mention a particular organization which recommends their product. For example, things like, our dog biscuits are recommended by the International Association of Dog Nutritionists. Well, that's probably an organization which the company set up themselves. Or, a recent independent study found that our toothpaste cleans your teeth better than any other brand. What study was it? Who commissioned the study? It was probably produced for the company itself and paid for by them too. Finally, what most annoys me is, trust me, I'm a doctor, or trust me, I'm a celebrity. The idea is that if a celebrity is using the product, it must be fantastic, or if a doctor recommends it, it must really work. But be careful. Although the actress is holding the product in the photo, do you really think she colors her hair with it at home? And the doctor in the advert, is he really a doctor or just an actor wearing a white coat?
9.2. 1.
In spite of what the advert said, its price was really included in the magazine subscription.
2.
Even though we don't really need the products and maybe don't even like them, we immediately want to be among the lucky few who have them.
3.
So as to make us believe it, they use expressions like, it's a must-have.
4.
And they combine this with a photograph of a large group of people so that we can't fail to get the message.
5.
The photo has been airbrushed in order to make the model look even slimmer, with perfect skin and even more attractive than they are in real life.
6.
It was probably produced for the company itself and paid for by them too.
7.
Although the actress is holding the product in the photo, do you really think she colors her hair with it at home?
9.3. 1.
Although the advert said it would last for years, my dishwasher broke down after 2 months. My dishwasher broke down after 2 months, though the advert said it would last for years. My dishwasher broke down again, even though I'd had it repaired the week before.
My dishwasher has never broken down. I hardly ever use it, though.
2.
In spite of her age, my mother is still very active. Despite being 85, my mother is still very active. In spite of the fact that she's 85, my mother is still very active.
9.4. 1.
I went to the bank to ask for a loan. I went to the bank in order to ask for a loan. I went to the bank so as to ask for a loan.
2.
I went to the bank for a meeting with my bank manager.
3.
I went to the bank so that I could talk to the manager in person.
4.
I wrote down what he said so as not to forget it. I wrote down what he said in order not to forget it.
9.5. Business. 1. Verbs and expressions. B. 1.
Apple products are easy to market because people are immediately attracted to the stylish designs.
2.
In 1989, Pepsi-Cola launched a new product called Pepsi AM, which was aimed at the breakfast cola drinker. It was an immediate flop.
3.
The Spanish airline Iberia merged with British Airways in 2011 and became one of the world's biggest airline groups.
4.
Although Gap stands for Genuine American Product, most of its clothes are manufactured in Asia.
5.
Prosciutto is a kind of Italian ham. Two of the best-known kinds are San Daniele and Parma, which are produced in the Friuli and Emilia regions of Italy and are exported all over the world.
6.
When BMW took over Mini, the smaller company became part of the larger organisation.
7.
The supermarket chain Tesco became the market leader in 1995 and is still the UK's biggest selling chain.
8.
The first Zara store was opened in La Coruña in Spain in 1975, where its head office still is today. The company started to expand into new markets in 1988, and it now has branches in 96 countries.
9.
Many banks are now offering loans to people who want to set up a new small business.
10.
The cost of living in Iceland is so high because so many food products have to be imported.
11.
During a boom period, the economy grows quickly and living standards improve.
12.
During a recession, many companies close down and living standards drop.
9.6. D.
Do business. Do a job. Do market research. Do well. Do badly.
Make a deal. Make a decision. Make a loss. Make money. Make somebody redundant.
9.7. 2. Idioms with business. 1. F.
I think we've been through everything on today's agenda. Now, is there any other business?
2. D.
Now that so many people book their holidays and travel online, many travel agencies have gone out of business.
3. C.
Let's get down to business right away. We'll have a break after an hour or so.
4. E.
She looks very determined, like a woman who means business.
5. B.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry, but it's none of your business.
6. H.
Is he your new boyfriend?
Mind your own business.
7. A.
He arranged to meet his ex-girlfriend because they had some unfinished business.
8. G.
Why are you taking your tennis racket on a work trip? It's never a good idea to mix business with pleasure.
9.8. 1.
We export to customers all over the world.
2.
Our main export is wine.
3.
Sales have increased by 10% this month.
4.
There has been a large increase in profits this year.
5.
The new building is progressing well.
6.
We're making good progress with the report.
7.
Most toys nowadays are produced in China.
8.
The demand for organic produce has grown enormously.
9.9. 1.
I think I'd have to say Venice in Italy.
2.
The most beautiful city I've been to recently is probably Curitiba, which is in southern Brazil.
3.
The most beautiful city I've ever been to is Bruges in Belgium.
4.
I know lots of beautiful cities and I wouldn't choose one above all the others, but one I always love going back to is Edinburgh in Scotland.
5.
The most beautiful city I've been to is Kyoto in Japan.
9.10.
Piazza San Marco. The Rialto Bridge. The Grand Canal. The Wire Opera House. The Bosque Alamao. The Scotsman's Steps. The River Leith. The Kinkakuji Temple.
9.11. 1.
I think I'd have to say Venice in Italy. In spite of all the tourists, all the clichés, I still think it's the most beautiful city I know. I always remember the first time I went. I arrived by train and we stepped out of the station and suddenly it was all there. The canals, the wonderful old buildings. What makes it beautiful for me is the light, the combination of the reflections of the churches and palaces in the water, the wonderful winding streets alongside canals, which are all different but also all similar. Oh, it's an incredibly easy city to get lost in. And of course, the fact that there are no cars, no traffic. I fell totally in love with it that first time, and I've been back since then and loved it just as much. It's difficult to think of just one thing to see. I mean, Piazza San Marco is beautiful, the Rialto Bridge, but I wouldn't say they were the things I remember most. I would actually say just wander without a map or a goal and get lost. Everything is beautiful. The one thing I'd say to do is go on a vaporetto, a water bus down the Grand Canal. I don't think gondolas are worth it. They're ridiculously expensive, and you can enjoy everything just as much on a Vaporetto.
2.
The most beautiful city I've been to recently is probably Curitiba, which is in southern Brazil. I think one of the things I liked about it most was it's described as the greenest city on earth, and they have really focused on creating a quality public transportation system. There's a huge number of parks in Curitiba. In fact, there's so much grass that the local authority used sheep to cut the grass, not lawnmowers. And I just think that what I like about it is their commitment to trying to make the city an environmentally friendly place to live. One place you need to see there is the Wire Opera House, which it's built in the middle of an artificial lake in the middle of a park, and it's built out of steel tubes. It's really extraordinary and beautiful, I think. And if I had to recommend one thing to do, I'd say go for a walk in the Bosque Alemão. It's one of the wonderful parks in Curitiba, and visit the Free Environmental University, which is built up in the trees just nearby. Its mission is to educate people about the environment, and I just think that's a wonderful goal to have.
3.
The most beautiful city I've ever been to is Bruges in Belgium. Well, I'm not absolutely sure if it's a city or a town, but anyway, it's my all-time favorite place. What makes it beautiful for me is the fact that it just looks as if it came out of a fairy tale. There are very old buildings that aren't too tall, and it's very traditional, and the whole place is like that. There's nothing super modern, like skyscrapers, that breaks that illusion of being somewhere magical. There are lots of things to see. There are 2 really beautiful churches, but I think that the whole of the old city is just amazing to look at. And also, there are hardly any cars, so you can just cycle or walk around. There are lots of canals with swans. I just sat there, staring at everything and feeding the swans. Oh, it was so peaceful and beautiful. Something everyone who visits Bruges needs to do is go to the market, which is like a square with lots of shops. And most of the shops sell chocolate, which is one of the main things they sell in Bruges, and is absolutely delicious. So, I think you need to sit down and have a tea or a coffee and a couple of chocolates, just looking out on this really beautiful square.
4.
I know lots of beautiful cities, and I wouldn't choose one above all the others, but one I always love going back to is Edinburgh in Scotland. And something I really love about Edinburgh is that because it's quite compact, more or less wherever you are in the city, you can see outside the city. So you can see the sea, you can see the hills around, so you always have a sense of the city and the landscape, and I really like that. And one thing I would recommend people to see in Edinburgh is something called the Scotsman's Steps, which is a staircase that goes from the wall that joins the old town to the new town. And it's actually an artwork. It's called Work Number 1059 by an artist called Martin Creed. And it's basically a staircase made of marble steps. Each one is a different colour marble, so you really have a feel of going somewhere. You're going from one colour to the next, and I love that place. And something I would do in Edinburgh would be to walk along the River Leith, either way, either from the Port of Leith up into the city or the other way, because it's like a secret bit of Edinburgh, and you see Edinburgh from a different perspective.
5.
The most beautiful city I've been to is Kyoto in Japan. It's a really lovely place because it's a mix of, like many Japanese cities, very, very modern buildings and a lot of traditional, temple areas as well. And you can walk down any Japanese shopping street and find a big supermarket or a modern office block next to a little temple where you step back in time many centuries. The one place that I would recommend you see is the Kinkakuji Temple, which is a very, very famous tourist site. It has a golden pavilion in the middle, and it's the most wonderful place. It gets very, very busy, but I was lucky enough to visit it when I lived in Japan, and I was able to stay with a friend and go there very early in the morning to avoid the crowds. One thing you need to do if you go to Kyoto is to try to stay not in a modern hotel, but in a ryokan, which is a traditional Japanese guest house where you can sleep on tatami matting and have Japanese breakfast, which is rice, eggs, fish and seaweed.
9.12. 1.
The weather is fantastic there, and there's very little traffic, so you can walk everywhere.
The scenery is beautiful here, but it's spoiled by all the rubbish people leave.
2.
Could you give me some advice about where to stay?
One useful piece of advice is to get a travel card.
3.
The new opera house is made mainly of glass.
Can I have a glass of tap water, please?
9.13. 1.
One of the best museums is on the outskirts of the city.
My clothes are filthy. I'll put on some clean trousers. I'll put on a pair of clean trousers.
2.
The hotel staff are very efficient.
The cabin crew are coming round with the drinks trolley in just a few minutes.
9.14. Word building. 1. Prefixes and suffixes which add meaning. B. 1. G.
Mumbai is a very overcrowded city.
2. C.
Tokyo was one of the first megacities.
3. D.
This part of the city is very poor and underdeveloped.
4. B.
London is a very multicultural city with many different races and religions.
5. J.
The quickest way to get around New York is on the subway.
6. H.
Many people in Montreal, Canada are bilingual. They speak English and French.
7. E.
If you want to avoid the traffic jams in Bangkok, get the monorail.
8. F.
The autopilot was switched on after the plane had taken off.
9. A.
Vandalism, especially breaking public property, is very antisocial behaviour.
10. K.
I misunderstood the directions that man gave me, and now I'm completely lost.
11. I.
He's doing a postgraduate degree in aeronautical engineering.
9.15. D. 1. D.
There are a lot of homeless people in this city.
The situation is hopeless.
2. A.
Be careful how you drive.
The instructions were very useful.
3. C.
The police usually wear bulletproof vests.
My watch is waterproof.
4. B.
Their new laptops are completely unbreakable.
I don't think the tap water here is drinkable.
9.16. 2. Nouns formed with suffixes.
Accommodation, intention, reduction.
Employment, entertainment, excitement, government, improvement.
Friendliness, loneliness, ugliness, weakness.
Absence, distance, ignorance, violence.
Alcoholism, racism, vandalism.
Brotherhood, childhood.
9.17. 3. Nouns which are different words. 1.
Lose. Loss.
2.
Die, death.
3.
Succeed. Success.
4.
Think, thought.
5.
Believe. Belief.
6.
Hot, heat.
7.
Strong. Strength.
8.
Hungry, hunger.
9.
High. Height.
10.
Wide, width.
9.18.
Accommodation, antisocial, bilingual, entertainment, government, homeless, loneliness, multicultural, neighborhood, overcrowded, poverty, underdeveloped, unemployment, vandalism.
10.1. 1.
Why is the sky blue?
To understand why the sky is blue, we first need to understand a little about light. Although light from the sun looks white, it's really made up of many different colours, as we see when they're spread out in a rainbow. Light is like a wave of energy, and each colour has a different wavelength. Red is the longest, and blue and violet are the shortest. When the sun's light reaches the Earth's atmosphere, it's scattered by tiny molecules of gas in the air. Shorter wavelengths, violet and blue, are scattered the most widely, and our eyes are much more sensitive to blue than violet, so we see more of the blue light than the other colours. So that's why we see the sky as blue.
2.
Why is the sea salty?
Most of our planet's surface is covered in salt water. But where does the salt come from? Well, some of it comes from rocks on the bottom of the sea, but most of it actually comes from the land around us. Every time it rains, tiny amounts of mineral salts dissolve into rivers, and these eventually get to the sea. Rivers aren't very salty because they flow continually, but the sun's heat causes the seawater to evaporate, so the salt in the sea becomes more concentrated.
3.
Why can we sometimes see the moon during the day?
We all know that the sun produces a lot of strong light. So when it's in the sky, we can't see the stars or the other planets. The moon doesn't produce light. It reflects the light of the sun. The moon is visible for about 12 out of every 24 hours because of the way it rotates around the Earth. This means it's visible for some time during daylight nearly every day.
4.
Why do we have a leap year?
A year is the amount of time it takes the Earth to go around the Sun, and we've divided our calendar year into 365 days. However, it actually takes the Earth 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes and 45 seconds to go round the Sun. To deal with this difference, we add 1 day, 24 hours, to our calendar every 4 years. This adjustment is not exactly correct because it effectively adds 6 hours per year rather than the exact amount of the difference.
5.
Why do we blink?
A blink of an eye lasts only 1/10 of a second. Every time you blink, your eyelids spread fluid across the surface of your eyes to keep them moist and also to stop them getting dirty. Blinking also keeps eyes safe from things that might damage them, such as bright light and sometimes bigger objects coming into our eyes like a small stone. Blinking stops the activity in your brain that detects changes, so you never notice that you actually stop seeing for a very short time when you blink.
6.
Why does cutting onions make us cry?
For a vegetable, onions have very complicated chemistry. When you cut them, a chemical reaction changes molecules in the onion into a gas. When this gas reaches the cornea, the transparent layer that covers and protects the outer part of your eye, the cornea senses it as an irritant. It acts to protect your eyes by making you cry, and the tears clean your eyes.
7.
What is a cloud?
We all enjoy looking at clouds and seeing their different shapes, but what's the science behind them? Well, the sky is full of drops of water, but most of the time you can't see them because they are too small. The drops have turned into water vapour. As the water vapour goes higher in the sky, the air gets cooler. The cooler air causes the drops to start to stick to things, like bits of dust, ice or sea salt, which make them visible. So that's what we see when we see clouds.
8.
What is a black hole?
This is another physics question. A black hole is caused by gravity. There are places in space where gravity pulls so hard that even light cannot get out. The reason that gravity is so strong in a black hole is that a lot of matter, that's physical stuff, has been compressed into a tiny space. A lot of matter has a high mass, and this creates a strong gravitational pull. Inside a black hole, space is falling faster than light, which is why light can't escape.
Ten 10.2. 1.
Science.
2.
Physics.
3.
Chemistry.
4.
Biology.
5.
Astronomy.
6.
Genetics.
7.
Botany.
8.
Zoology.
10.3. 1.
Science, scientist, scientific.
2.
Physics, physicist, physical.
3.
Chemistry, chemist, chemical.
4.
Biology, biologist, biological.
5.
Astronomy, astronomer, astronomical.
6.
Genetics, geneticist, genetic.
7,
botany, botanist, botanical.
8,
Zoology, zoologist, zoological.
10.4. 1,
Genetically modified.
2,
Botanical gardens.
3,
Chemical reaction.
4,
Human biology.
5,
Physical energy.
6,
Astronomically expensive.
10.5. 1,
Scientists carry out experiments in a laboratory.
2,
Archimedes made an important discovery in his bath.
3,
Isaac Newton's experiments proved his theory that gravity existed.
4,
Before a pharmaceutical company can sell new drugs, they have to do tests to make sure they are safe.
5,
Scientists have to do a lot of research into the possible side effects of new drugs.
6,
People can volunteer to be guinea pigs in clinical trials.
7,
In 1996, scientists were able for the first time to clone a sheep, which they named Dolly.
10.6. 1,
All animals need food.
All fruit contains sugar.
All the scientists at the conference agree with the theory.
The animals all look sad.
The animals are all healthy.
2,
Everybody is here.
Everything is very expensive.
3,
Most people live in cities.
Most of the people in this class are women.
4,
All of us work hard and most of us come to class every week.
5,
Every room has a bathroom.
I work every Saturday.
10.7. 1,
Is there any milk?
Sorry, there's no milk. There isn't any.
2,
Is there any food?
No, none. There's none, but none of us are hungry.
3,
Come any weekend.
Anyone can come.
10.8. 1,
Both Pierre and Marie Curie were scientists. Neither Pierre nor Marie Curie was aware of the dangers of radiation. Marie Curie wanted to either study physics or mathematics. In the end, she studied the two subjects.
2,
She and her husband both won Nobel Prizes.
Pierre and Marie were both interested in radium.
3,
Both of them won the Nobel Prize.
Neither of them realized how dangerous radium was.
10.9. 1,
In direct current, the electrons move in only one direction.
2,
Helium gas can be found in both liquid and solid form.
3,
Adult giraffes remain standing all day.
4,
Of all the water on our planet, hardly any of it is found underground.
5,
Snakes eat either other animals or eggs.
6,
A diamond can be destroyed only by intense heat.
7.
The human brain can continue to live without oxygen for nearly 6 minutes.
8.
In our solar system, Pluto is no longer considered to be a planet.
9.
When we breathe out, some of that air is oxygen.
10.
An individual blood cell makes a whole circuit of the body in nearly 60 seconds.
10.10.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
10.11.
When Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon on July the 20th, 1969, a global audience of 500 million people were watching and listening. As he climbed down the steps from the spacecraft and stepped onto the moon, they heard him say, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." It seemed like the perfect quote for such a momentous occasion, but from the moment he said it, people have argued about whether Armstrong got his lines wrong and made a mistake. James, tell us about it.
Well, Armstrong always said that he wrote those words himself, which became some of the most famous and memorable words in history, during the time between landing on the moon and actually stepping out of the capsule onto the moon. That was nearly 7 hours.
And so what is the controversy about what Armstrong said when he stepped down the ladder onto the moon?
The question is, did he say one small step for man or one small step for a man? That's to say, did he use the indefinite article or not? It's just a little word, but there's a big difference in meaning. Armstrong always insisted that he wrote one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Of course, this would have been a meaningful sentence. If you say a man, then it clearly means that this was one small step for an individual man, i.e. himself, but one giant leap for mankind. That's to say, men and women in general. But what everybody actually heard was one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, with no indefinite article, and that sentence means one small step for people in general, one giant leap for people in general. And that doesn't really make sense.
So did he just get the line wrong when he said it?
Well, Armstrong himself was never sure if he actually said what he wrote. In his biography, First Man, he told the author, James Hansen, "I must admit that it doesn't sound like the word is there." On the other hand, certainly the was intended because that's the only way it makes sense. He always regretted that there had been so much confusion about it. But, almost 4 decades later, Armstrong was proved to be right. Peter Shan Ford, an Australian computer expert, used very high-tech sound techniques to analyse his sentence, and he discovered that the was said by Armstrong. It's just that he said it so quickly that you couldn't hear it on the recording which was broadcast to the world on the 20th of July 1969.
Was Armstrong relieved to hear this?
Yes, he was. I think it meant a lot to him to know that he didn't make a mistake.
10.12. 1.
My neighbour has just got a dog and a cat. The dog is an Alsatian and the cat is a Siamese.
Jack got into the car and drove to the town hall.
2.
Children are often better than adults at new technology.
I don't like sport or classical music.
3.
Last night I came home late and went straight to bed.
10.13.
My father's in hospital.
They're building a new hospital in my town. He was sent to prison for 2 years.
My grandmother used to work in the prison as a cleaner.
10.14. 1,
Tunisia is in North Africa.
2,
Selfridges, one of London's biggest department stores, is in Oxford Street.
3,
Lake Victoria and Mount Kilimanjaro are both in Africa.
4,
The River Danube flows into the Black Sea.
5,
The National Gallery and the British Museum are London tourist attractions.
10.15. Elizabeth I. A,
I know I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and a king of England too.
Abraham Lincoln. B,
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Emmeline Pankhurst. C,
The title of my speech today is The Laws That Men Have Made. Men politicians are in the habit of talking to women as if there were no laws that affect women. The fact is, they say, the home is the place for women. Their interests are the rearing and training of children. These are the things that interest women. Politics have nothing to do with these things, and therefore politics do not concern women.
Winston Churchill. D,
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
John F. Kennedy. E,
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
Martin Luther King. F,
I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Nelson Mandela. G,
I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
Barack Obama. H.
For when we have faced down impossible odds, when we've been told we're not ready, or that we shouldn't try, or that we can't, generations of Americans have responded with a simple creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. 10.16.
Welcome to today's programme. Our topic today is public speaking. Public speaking is right up there at the top of what most people say they're most afraid of. There's even a name for it: glossophobia. But hopefully after this programme you will feel a lot more confident if you do have to make a speech or give a presentation. First, we have Lynn Parker, an expert in the art of public speaking, who's going to tell us some of her do's and don'ts. Then, after that, we're going to talk to Anya Edwards from Chile. Anya was a finalist in last year's English Speaking Union International Public Speaking Competition. Lynn, I believe you have 6 key tips for us. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. My first tip, and maybe the most important one, is be yourself. This applies both to how you speak and to what you actually do on the stage, whether that's standing up, sitting down, or moving about. Do what you feel comfortable with. The only don't, as regards how you are on stage, I'd say, is try not to continually walk up and down, because this tends to distract people from what you're saying.
Yes, I do find that distracting.
Secondly, if you're using PowerPoint, don't just type out your talk. You want people to listen to what you're saying, not to read ahead. Slides are best for illustrating your talk or for drawing attention to a point. Pictures are often better than words, but if you use words, do keep it short. And do remember the 10-20-30 rule. Do you know what that is?
No. Do tell us.
The 10-20-30 rule is that the ideal presentation should have 10 slides, last 20 minutes, and never have a font size on the slides that's less than 30 points.
Ah, great. That's an easy one to remember. And tip number 3?
Maintain eye contact with your audience, whether it's to 500 people in a room or 20 people in a classroom or round a table. Don't spend the whole talk looking at your notes or slides.
How can you maintain eye contact with 500 people?
Well, you can't with all of them, of course. But a good technique is to scan the audience occasionally from side to side and front to back to give the impression you're talking to everyone.
Number 4?
Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. In front of a mirror, or even better, video yourself. It will make you aware of how you use your hands and body, and even what clothes look right.
Number 5?
Include a couple of good sound bites. Whenever you hear something good, write it down, as you might be able to use it later.
So, sound bites rather than stories or examples?
Well, no, not instead of. A good story or example can also help to illustrate a situation, or help people to remember the point you were making. Just don't make it too long. And if you're telling a little story, remember good stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
And your last point?
Listen to other speakers. There are lots of good resources online, such as TED Talks and The Moth, which is a great storytelling website. Also, listen to people talking when you are out and about. For example, travelling on public transport or queuing up in the supermarket. You never know what witty remarks or good stories you might pick up along the way.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
10.17.
And now we have Anya on the line from Chile.
Hello.
Anya, you took part in the competition last year, is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it's open to people from any country between the ages of 16 and 18. First you compete at home, so for me in Chile, and then the international finals take place in London.
What exactly did you have to do there?
So you have to give 2 speeches. The first one is a prepared speech, which is a maximum of 5 minutes on a subject that they give you. That year, for me, it was on the role of education. And then after your speech, you have to answer questions for 3 to 4 minutes. And then the second speech, and this was definitely the scariest, was the impromptu speech. You were given 3 subjects to choose from, which you've never seen before, and then 15 minutes to choose one and prepare a speech of 3 minutes.
What did you choose?
I chose the title, To Be Grown Up is a State of Mind.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous, very nervous. But then I've never not been nervous before speaking in front of an audience. I've done a lot of drama, of acting, and that's taught me that nerves are good because you can learn to channel them into a better performance.
How is public speaking different from acting?
Well, in many ways they're similar because you need many of the same qualities. To be able to stand in front of an audience confidently and speak clearly, to be convincing. But I'd say that public speaking is harder because you can't rely on anyone else. If you miss a line, there won't be someone next to you to give you your cue, and you're the main focus of attention 100% of the time.
And what did you learn from the experience?
I think it was one of the most useful skills I've ever learned and that any person can have. Because if you've learnt to do it well and practiced, it means that you'll never ever have to worry about standing up and speaking in front of other people.
What tips would you give to someone about writing a speech?
Well, for writing a speech, I'd say to start by talking about the topic out loud and record whatever comes into your head on your phone. Then listen back to it and start by ordering your ideas on paper. And if you think the subject you have to talk about is a bit dry, try to come up with some anecdotes to illustrate it. Also, use plain, simple language. Vocabulary that's too complicated puts people off.
And to deliver it?
I agree entirely with Lynn about being authentic, about being yourself. If you want your speech to be effective, people need to believe what you say. And in order to convince them, you need to be convinced yourself.
10.18 B.
Backwards and forwards.
Cause and effect.
Forgive and forget.
Health and safety.
Live and learn.
Thunder and lightning.
Pros and cons.
Peace and quiet.
Supply and demand.
Short and sweet.
C.
Right or wrong.
Now or never.
More or less.
Sooner or later.
All or nothing.
Once or twice.
Dead or alive.
Rain or shine.
10.19
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm going to talk to you today about one of my hobbies, baking. I've loved baking since I was a child. My grandmother taught me to make simple biscuits and cakes, and later, when I was a teenager, I watched a lot of TV programs and online videos to learn how to make more complicated ones. What I like about baking is that it's very creative and it makes other people happy.
10.20 1.
Are there any brands which you think have a really good logo or slogan?
I think, the one that sticks out to me the most is the Nike swoosh. I've sort of been fascinated by that and the whole progression of the company over the years. I find them to be one of the strongest brands. I think American icons like Coca-Cola has a great brand name. Disney has a great brand.
Does it make you want to buy the products?
I will say I'm loyal to those products. I think each one brings a little different thing to it. When I think of, Disney, I think about customer service. When I think about Coca-Cola, I think about the quality of their product. Nike, I think about their sort of cutting-edge marketing campaigns, and they've got a product that is sort of backs it up too.
Are there any advertisements that make you not want to buy the product?
I tend to dislike car ads on the radio. I don't mind them on television, but on ads, I tend to want to turn them off. I don't think I'm not going to buy a car, but I don't like listening to the ads, that's for sure.
2. What's your favorite city?
My favorite city would have to be Rome. I love Italy, and I've spent a lot of time there, and Rome doesn't bore me, even if I go there several times.
Why do you like it?
I love the food in Rome. I love the sights. The people are so friendly, and no matter what time of year, in winter or summer, there's lots going on.
Do you think cities will be different in the future?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. I think some cities, which are already quite wealthy and have a lot of modern aspects to them, such as New York or London, might become more efficient. I hope they do. But I can imagine lots of cities around the world that aren't so wealthy or have more kind of commercial centres to not be too different, even in maybe 20 years' time.
3.
Do you think it's more important to study science than arts?
Well, for the economy's point of view, I think studying science is important, but from a kind of creativity, learning and educational point of view, possibly art, because it's about imagination, and we don't know what skills we're going to need in 20 or 30 years' time, so something to do with creativity. I'm sure sciences can be creative, but arts tend to promote that a bit more.
Which scientific subjects do you think have taught you something useful?
I've never been very good at sciences, to be quite honest with you, so I quite like maths. I was a bit late coming to maths, but I quite like the kind of logic to it and the kind of the thinking process that goes alongside it.
What would you most like scientists to discover in the future?
Definitely how to respond to global warming, and anything that gets us away from carbon-based heating or fuel. Obviously there's the medical sciences, which are quite important. I suppose anything to do with the neurosciences and how we cope with learning or mental health problems, that type of thing.
4. Have you ever given a presentation?
Yes.
Where and when?
It was at my university. It was part of an exam. We had to give a PowerPoint presentation to a group of people and some examiners.
How did you feel?
Not great. It was not enjoyable.
Was it a success?
I passed. Success in some way, yeah.